advice on sisters becoming medical professionals and how they can behave, and how they can bring benefit to the ummah. Then, sisters, this slogan, which is actually an Ikhwani slogan, we need female doctors, we need female nurses, as if we haven't got a belly full of them. As if we have no female doctors in the ummah. The ummah is filled with female doctors and dentists and nurses. Everywhere you look. Aapki beti kya kar rahi hai, wo doctor hai. Aapki beti kya, wo dentist hai. Aapki beti, everyone's on it. We're walking around thinking that if my daughter doesn't become a doctor, subhanallah, the whole ummah is going to fall apart. So I have to sacrifice my daughter to become a doctor. This is the fallacy and sloganism of the Ikhwan and other than them, who want to, and likewise certain societies like the Western societies, who want to really westernize our women. Because if you can westernize younger people, men and women, from the younger generation, and if you can indoctrinate them through the university process and through the college process, because it is really, they're trying to socialize them into their environment. Indoctrinate them, if you want to use the word, brainwash them into their liberalism, their liberal ideas. Predominantly those liberal ideas and those Western ideas and those Eurocentric ideas come from university campuses. That's where they come from. So the youth movements in the university campuses, that your son hasn't gone there or your daughter hasn't gone there to study Western liberalism. They've gone there to study medicine, but they come out liberal. They come out accepting, LGBT, for example, and transgender identities. But you say, well, I sent you in to do medicine. You've come out with pink hair and a big ring in your nose and studs in your cheek. And you're talking about going to the Pride March. But you said you were studying medicine and you were studying dentistry. How did you come out like that? Because you are a naive parent. You're naive. You think that university campuses are only for the study of engineering or medicine, which they are as well. I'm not saying that they don't study that. But greater than that is that university campuses, especially in the Western world, in all of Europe, all of of North America, Australia, all of those, if you want to use them, these, Europeanized nations, all of them are far left, radical, liberal places where your children enter and they undergo an indoctrination into Western, left-wing, liberal ideologies. Socialist and Marxist. So they come out, a large proportion of them. If you say, well, my son went, it didn't happen. Yeah, because he survived. Allah guided him and he kept upon the straight path, so he survived. But the vast majority of them don't survive. That's why the West is the West. That's why the greatest movement at this present moment, the greatest sociological movement or societal movement in the Western world in terms of liberalism is the LGBT movement. Practiced by 0.001% of most nations, according to statistics and, the Gallup polls and others, that they do these
measurements. So it's 0.0001. Some inconceivably small amount are homosexual. And transgender, are transgenders, meaning that these are men who consider themselves to be women or women who consider themselves to be men. Very small number. Almost inconceivably small. That's why you never see them in the West generally. Even in your general city centres, you don't see them, or town centres, or, in your areas in Birmingham, Manchester, you don't see them. Because they are a very, very insignificant minority. Yet, in terms of political clout, there is no group more powerful than them today. They will shut you down. You will lose your job. You will be closed down on social media platforms. They will block your accounts. because they will call you homophobic or transphobic. You know, they will give you these types of names. All of this indoctrination predominantly takes place on university campuses in the middle classes, and usually white middle classes. Then it permeates through into the rest of society. So now, the question, going back to the question, advising Muslim sisters on becoming medical professionals? No, we've got enough medical professionals. Barakallahu feekum. There is sufficient medical professionals that suffices. If the day comes when we're falling short, rest assured we're going to let you know. Alright? We're going to let you know. Does that mean you shouldn't be educated? Yes, be educated. Be educated in something that is worthwhile, so you don't have to go into the medical profession and start touching men. Because if you're a medical professional in Europe, you can't say I'm not going to touch a man, because that is discrimination. Or that you say, well, if you don't mind, I don't really want to touch, I only want to work with women. So a transsexual walks in, a transgender, a man who thinks he's a woman. And he says, you know, I've got a spot or a scar on my thigh, upper thigh. He said, but you're not really a woman. By you saying that that he is not really a woman, you have discriminated, you've lost your job. Gross misconduct for mislabeling and mispronouncing. Gross misconduct. Sisters, we don't need you in the medical profession. We need you far away from the medical profession. We need you in the job for which you are most useful and productive, and that you are precious and required in this role. As a mother, as a wife, as a home builder, as a teacher, as an educator, as a raiser of the next generation of men and women who are truly men, worshippers of Allah, pious and righteous, truly women who are going to grow up to be your daughters, who worship Allah, wear the hijab, respectful, honorable, brave, courageous, educated. So if you want to take because you mentioned here profession. If you want to take any profession, then take that profession. What do you need for this profession? You need knowledge of the Sharia. You need knowledge of ahkam of the Sharia. You need knowledge of how to pray, how to fast, what's the Aqidah, what's Tawheed, how to be a good wife, how should my husband behave towards me, how should I be as a parent, how should I be as a mother, how should my husband be as a father, how does society work, what are the plots of society, how will they come and take my children away from me and indoctrinate them against the religion. So, what tools do you need to educate you in that? So yes, you need language. You need language. So, whichever country that you're living in, learn the language of that land. Arabic is the foundation that every Muslim must learn anyway. Right? You need to know, and that's why I mentioned the knowledge of the Sharia and the Aqidah and so on. After that, then yes, you can educate yourself. You can learn history, you can learn geography, you can learn engineering, work from home, get your degree at home, and by the age of 18 and 19, you should be married, building a home. Don't wait till you're 32 or 42 even, and I've heard in our societies, in our communities, girls and women who are not married and they remain unmarried till their late 30s. Unmarried to their late 30s or early 30s. And then by that time, whatever is available, they take. And that could be an abusive husband. A husband that doesn't really care for you because he knows that basically he's married you because there's no one else. Women are selective. Let me make that clear to you. Understand this term. Women are more selective than men. So women will be very careful about who they select to marry. But their power of selecting becomes weaker and weaker as they age. Why? Because men know what they want. Men know, because men are less selective. That's why men are more promiscuous in unbelieving in Western societies than women. Women are hardly promiscuous as a nature, as a jins, as a gender, or as a sex. women are not promiscuous. They don't sleep around. Women don't do that. Unless she has been corrupted or she has been told that you are worthless. Then she just allows her body to be used by men as an object. But women as a rule, as a nature, in their fitrah, are very selective. They are not promiscuous. Men, on the other hand, if they are left to their devices of being wild, uncultivated, uncontrolled by the Sharia, they'll sleep with almost anything. If they are not controlled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the Sharia that places and instills fear in men. Be good to your women, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say. Because men, if they are not controlled, not all men, but there is a sufficient body of men that if they are not controlled by morality and religious ethics, right? Religious, regardless of what religion it is, because you'll even find Christian men, they won't sleep around. Jewish men won't sleep around. Muslim men won't sleep around. Because they're religious and their religion teaches them, if you do this, then God will punish you. So women are selective. The point at which you have the greatest position of selecting the best man is when you are young. You are young, you are fertile, you're a virgin. All of the trump cards are with you. You carry the best CV. The best men want that woman. The best men. The older you get, then you find that you are now pushing the best men out of your radar. Because every woman and every man wants a partner. That's the nature of men and nature of women. And each and every one of us wants the best. Women, what do they want generally? They want a man who is stronger than them, who is a provider, financially better off than them in most cases. That's what women want. Why? Because they want someone who's going to nurture them and protect them. So that's why women, I know it's a cliche, but they will say, I want someone who is tall and strong. And he's got a good job. That's what women want. That's their nature. It's not something that they've been indoctrinated with. Someone who can provide for them, someone who's stronger than them. And they'll say, because what they understand by strength is like a big physique and a tallish man. That's what they want. Because they see in that strength, he's going to protect me and give me good children. Men want a woman who is young, pretty, and she is not promiscuous. She's not a woman who has slept around, and that's why they will treasure the virgin. That's why the Prophet ﷺ encouraged, marry those who are loving and fertile. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said, marry the ones who are meaning from the women, loving and fertile. Now let's take going back to the question, let's take this woman. So she finishes her A-levels at the age of 18 or 19. She goes into medical school and she spends 7 years in Britain. So she leaves when she's 26. In that period of time, her mum and dad, because they've been, indoctrinated by Western liberal ideas, that they say, no, you're not going to get married. Up until you're married, you got your stiff dick. Right? You got your certificate. Right? And then we're going to put you into pre-reg. So now, by that time, she's 28. Now, but she still wants a man who is financially strong. He's mentally strong, psychologically strong, physically strong. He's looking at this woman and thinking, okay, what are you going to give me? Really? What are you going to give me? So her value in the eyes of men, she thinks that she's of value now. And she might be, of men that are similar to her that don't really care. They don't care about marrying a woman who's in her 30s and so on, pre-reg and touches different men every day because she's checking the wart or the ailment or, looking at their nakedness and so on, because that's what you have to do in the Western world. Inshallah, hopefully here is different. Not that I know, but I'm just assuming, hoping that it's different. So the issue of professions, my sisters, is that your value decreases with time. Because your fertility, since you are entering into the discussion on the medical profession, then if you know anything about the medical profession, as you age, your fertility decreases. You are less likely to have children. And you're going to be less prolific in having children. The older you get, you are less fertile. Whereas men, the way that Allah has created them, they will remain fertile till the day, meaning that they will produce sperm, and the ability to reproduce remains within them up until the day that they die, even if they are 95 or 100 years old. A woman in her 50s, the capability finishes. So you only have a limited window of opportunity to have children and raise them, nurture them, but you're too busy looking after the warts and the spots and the moles and the cuts on strange men and strange women. Whereas in reality, if you want to prioritize things, your vision of priority should be, who is the one that I care for the most? My husband, my parents, my children. They are the ones that I care about the most. But they are the ones who are getting the least of my time. They are the ones that you're supposed to be caring for. But you, being a doctor, 10 hours at work or 8 hours at work, hour there, hour back. When you get home, you get 2 hours with your husband and children. Then because you got to put the children to bed. You put them to bed, and then you've gone and spent another 10 hours the following day treating strange men and strange women. So you leave that which is awla. It's like me. I have my mother. She's ill. She's sick. She's frail. She needs me. So what I do is I leave Birmingham and I go to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And I go and look after some stranger's mother for 5 years. But my mother's in Birmingham. I don't doubt that this strange woman needs help. But who is deserving of my help the most? What does the Sharia tell us? Ummuk wa ummuk. Your mother, and your mother. Then your father. So I leave all of that. The responsibility of the children, I leave that. Because I want the word MBBS after my name. So that I can say to the people, Main doctor hoon. No, my sisters. It's a smoke screen. It is indoctrination. It is mixing priorities. Educate yourselves. Yes, you should. Get your degrees from home. Through correspondence. Or go to Islamic universities. And you can, in those universities, when I say Islamic universities, Islamic environment universities, and you can study by the age of 19, you're out. Or by the age of 21, let's say you're out. But get married before you go, because it's not as if you got to support your husband, he's got to support you. So you can put in the Aqdun Nikah, I'd like to finish my studies in an Islamic environment, because I was doing, biology or chemistry. I just want to finish my chemistry degree. No harm. As long as the environment is Islamic, either online, correspondence, or on a campus that is friendly to Islamic values. Otherwise, sister, don't worry about it. Barakallahu feekum. You'll be a much happier person when you're 30 with 3 lovely children. 30. Actually, by 30 you should have 5 or 6 lovely children. By the age of 50 you'll be a grandmother. And you'll be served hand and foot. Every meal cooked for you. Go on holidays with your husband. Your children will send mum and dad on holiday. Go and make umrah, mum and dad. Why? Because they're adults and serving their parents. When instead you want to look at someone's athlete's foot.